cell phones are a great tool for communication and education. Unfortunately, they do pose a lot of problems in a school setting. And unfortunately, we have had some issues this year with cell phones being used in places they're not allowed or being used inappropriately. So we went over this at the beginning of the year, but just wanted to clear up and review some of our cell phone expectations at school. Specifically, where you can use them, when you can use them, and how they can be used appropriately. The first area that cell phones may be used is in the classroom for instructional purposes. Now let me make this very clear though, this does not mean that you can use your phone during class time. This is only when your teacher says specifically, you can get out your phones to do this. So honestly, this is relatively rare now because basically anything you could do on the phone, you could do on the Chromebook. But every once in a while, there is something that the phone can do better than the Chromebook, or your teacher might just find it easier for you to use your phones. So therefore, they may say, you can get out your phones now to do this. That is the only time a cell phone should ever be used during class time. The gym is a free zone for cell phones, meaning you are allowed to use them in there for our 6th and 7th graders when they're in there before school starts, meaning that's before you are dismissed to homeroom. When you're in there sitting in your assigned section with your team, then you are allowed to use your cell phone. It is also a free zone at the end of the day for all of our bus riders. No matter what grade you're in, if you are a bus rider that's sitting in your assigned section after school is ended, waiting for your bus, then you are allowed to use your cell phone in there as well. But as soon as you are dismissed in the morning, then your cell phone must be put away and off before you exit the gym. The gym is not considered a free zone when you are in that class there for your PE or health class. It is only a free zone before school starts for 6th and 7th graders, and at the end of the day, if you're waiting for bus riders for all grade levels. During gym class, the gym is not a free zone. Therefore, you cannot have your cell phone out. The cafeteria is considered a free zone for cell phone usage for 8th graders when they're in here in the morning waiting for classes to start, meaning before you are dismissed to homeroom. Cell phones are allowed to be out. I will note that if you are at the breakfast table for any grade level, cell phones should not be out. When you're at the breakfast table, we need you to eat your breakfast as quickly as you can and get yourself to the correct spot so that way you're not late to homeroom. So cell phones should not be used at the breakfast table. But if once you're with your team waiting for your class to start as an 8th grader, cell phones are allowed. You were also allowed to use your cell phone in the cafeteria during lunchtime, meaning once your class is in here for lunchtime and you are at your assigned seat, then you are good to use your cell phone appropriately. Just make sure that when your table is dismissed and you've cleaned up all your trash and you've thrown it away and you're getting ready to go out that door, that your cell phone is off and put away, because as soon as you step out these doors, then you are having your cell phone in the hallway, which is a violation. Because the free zone is the cafeteria only, not to the cafeteria, not coming from the cafeteria, in the cafeteria only. Now that we covered where you can have your cell phones, let's make sure we're clear on where you cannot have your cell phones, which is really everywhere else. Other than those free zones, and when you're told by your teacher you can use your phone for instructional purposes during class, which is rare, your cell phone cannot be out at school. It cannot be seen at school even. So that's why it should be turned off and put away. So one area where we really have struggled with this is the hallways, which is why I'm standing in the hallway. Never can your cell phone be used or even out in the hallways. And trust me, I've heard the excuses. I was checking my schedule, I was checking the time. My mother texted me, my father texted me. Whatever the excuse is, you cannot have your cell phone out in the hallway. If you take your cell phone out in the hallway and you are caught, it could be taken by an administrator, teacher, staff member, and a parent will have to pick it up. So make sure your cell phone is not out in the hallway at any time. Now that we're back in the classroom again, let me reiterate, you can only have your cell phone in the classroom if the teacher specifically said you can get it out. Otherwise, this is not a free zone. Cell phones cannot be out. That means, again, they should not even be seen, because it does not matter what the reasoning is. If the cell phone is seen, it could be taken, and you will have the consequences of violating the code of conduct. So, it doesn't matter if you say, I was checking the time, it just fell out, I wasn't really on it, oh, I didn't mean to, I had to check my messages. It does not matter. If your cell phone is out, you are violating the rules, and therefore you will have consequences. So parents, we do ask that if you need to get a message to your child and it is urgent, you need to go ahead and call the school and we will get that message to them. Otherwise, they need to wait until lunchtime to check their phones, or if they're in a free zone at the beginning of school or at the end of the day. So that's the times when they can check their phones. They should not be checking their phones during class time. So to finally wrap up this video, I wanted to talk about using your cell phones appropriately. Because even when you are in the free zones, this doesn't mean that you can do whatever you want with your cell phone. So I'm not going to list every single thing you could do that's inappropriate with your cell phone. That would take forever. But just a few common things to watch out for that are inappropriate and are a violation of the code of conduct. So taking pictures or videos of any other person in this building, that's students, staff, whatever, is not allowed unless you have their explicit permission, meaning you need to make sure that they said it's okay. Airdropping anything in the lunchroom, not allowed. So airdropping is unnecessary and it just goes to too many people, so we really do not want anything to get airdropped in the cafeteria. Accessing anything inappropriate on your cell phone, and that's including but not limited to things like pornography, profanity, violence, or anything that's against the law, that is a violation. Spreading rumors or gossip with your cell phone, or encouraging anything that's going to violate the code of conduct, like spreading things that could possibly cause a fight or could get people mad at one another, that is a violation. So you cannot do that using your cell phone. So now that we've went through all that, we are glad that our students can have the privilege to have cell phones at school, but we want to remind you that having them is a privilege, and if you cannot use them appropriately, unfortunately, you will lose that privilege of having the cell phones at school.